woman, I love the vibes, I love the spice, I love the passion you bring. The way you smile, the way you attire, the way you take care of yourself. In every way you make my day, you know I want.
Good evening, Bermuda. Good evening, PLP members. Welcome to the Annual Delegates Conference of 2021. First, let me make apologies in this age of technology. Unfortunately, we were having some technical difficulties, but we are with you now, and we are ready to go. So let me first start on the right foot with a prayer just to open the Annual Delegates Conference. Heavenly and gracious Father, thank you for bringing us here, either in person or virtually, to talk about the issues of the country. We ask that you will bless our leaders, and especially the delegates who will be deliberating on how to take our party and ultimately our nation forward. We ask that you will continue to bring your blessings all over Bermuda to the members, our families, and friends. We ask all these things in your gracious and holy Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Good evening, yes, yet again. This evening, we have quite a bit on tap for you. You can expect to hear different informational videos. We have lots of information on the history of the party, on things that we are doing on the way forward. We also have plenty of presenters, speakers, and of course, my favorite, lots of local entertainment. You're in for a treat. But first, I would like to welcome our chair, who will be reading our vision and mission statement. Chair?
Good evening. Party mission statement. The party will strive for the attainment of social, racial, and economic justice for all, based on the will of the people and democratic principles in order to promote a sovereign nation that ensures equity and puts Bermudians first. Party vision statement. A diverse and inclusive party committed to cultural, economic empowerment while addressing the needs of an evolving Bermuda. PLP all the way, PLP.
The PLP, to me, is family.
The PLP to me is people focused.
The PLP to me is sustainability.
The PLP is about the people.
The PLP to me is a legacy of Bermudian excellence.
The PLP is tradition.
The PLP to me is Bermuda's future.
The PLP to me is the road to freedom.
The PLP is legacy.
The PLP to me is compassion.
The PLP means community.
The PLP to me is history.
The PLP to me is about the future.
The PLP to me is grassroots organization.
The PLP to me is progress.
The PLP is a people's government. The PLP is me.
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 The PLP is all of us. We are all in this together.
Hi again. I would like to just give a shout out to our lead sponsors, ICS, Vava Entertainment, and Inter-Island Communications. And with that said, we're now going to watch a video, but before that, let me speak to the theme of our conference this year. We're all in this together, and indeed we are. And now, the video for our sponsors. Gentlemen, we are blessed to have one of our young people who's a part of our youth wing here. The youth are very important. Their contribution is how we will continue to see our works manifest in the future. We would like to give young people a position and opportunities. And with that said, young Zinziwa Swan is going to come and give us a presentation. Zinzi?
Good evening, all. Is it on now? Oh, up. Good evening, all. My name is Zinzi Swan, and I'm here representing the Youth Wing. I'd first like to thank the Secretary General for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening in order to highlight some exemplary youth within our party. Tonight, I'm going to introduce you to 5 youth members of the party who have done work within the party and within the community. Our first youth member is Alexa Lightbourne. She is an accomplished lawyer who attended Westminster University and Queen Mary University of London. She graduated with degrees in international relations and politics and an LLB in law. She is also currently working towards a Master's of Public Policies. During her time at university, she founded the Afro-Caribbean Society of Westminster, London. Alexa has been the campaign manager for the PLP in the past 2 elections and led us to victory in both. She is currently our public relations officer, and she is the youngest member currently sitting on the PLP executive. Alexa has not only managed elections here, but has managed elections in several Caribbean countries, including St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, and Grenada. Alexa has chosen to leave us with the inspirational words of Maya Angelou. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so that you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it. The next youth member on my list is Carlson Phillip. Carlson has a BA in economics from Howard University and an MSc in computing from the University of Kent. He is currently the party's assistant treasurer and has put his name forward during this conference to become our next treasurer. During the last election, he was MP Crystal Caesar's campaign manager. Carlson wants us to remember, yes, we can, words spoken by former President Barack Obama. Next on my list, we have Maxanne Keynes, who is our current Youth Wing delegate. Maxanne has a BA in Political Science and History from Oakwood University and a graduate degree in International Relations with a focus in Conflict and Security from the University of Kent. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and made the Forbes Under 30 Scholar List in 2017. During the 2020 election, Maxanne was the volunteer coordinator for the election and was also the campaign manager for MP Wayne Keynes in the 2020 election and the 2017 election. She was chosen to represent Bermuda as an intern at the Government of Bermuda office in Brussels. And Maxanne wants to leave us with the words of Robert Frost. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep. But I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Next, we have my coworker. He is Dejai Grimes. Dejai is currently an office assistant here at Alaska Hall and is responsible for all the IT upgrades here. While working a full-time job, he's also working towards 2 university degrees. One in information systems, specializing in cybersecurity, and the other in finance and international business. Dejai wants us to remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl, but never stop moving forward. And lastly, but certainly not least, we have the young Mackenzie Cole Tuckett. She is a 17-year-old senior student at Warwick Academy, where she is currently head girl. She has a keen interest in politics and has been a member of Youth Parliament since 2017. In 2018, she was elected Youth Premier. Mackenzie Cole also serves as the Youth Assistant Director of Future Leaders Bermuda. She's an avid public speaker and debater, and she plans to pursue a law degree and also has future political aspirations. Mackenzie would like us to remember the words of Margaret Thatcher. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. Watch your habits, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. What we think, we become. Thank you all for listening to my presentation and for, just and the PLP for giving the youth a voice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zinzi. And we appreciate the highlight of those 4 young people, Alexa, Carlson, Maxanne, Josiah, 5, Mackenzie. They're all extraordinary young ones. But I would like to introduce my colleague, and if you don't know who I am, I should have said, I'm the host for this evening, and my name is Crystal Caesar, and I am the MP for Constituency 31, Southampton West Central. The colleague I'm bringing to the stage now to talk to you about education is Jason Wade from Constituency 30.
Greetings, and welcome to tonight's annual Delegates Conference. When the PLP was elected in 2017, our platform stated that we were committed to putting our children and their futures first. Wholesale education reform is well underway, and to ensure the 21st century learning environment for our children is near. Currently, we have the following underway. The parish primary school proposal consultation period is happening. The Learning First initiative, which is a school system where each and every learner in Bermuda, regardless of where they live, how they learn, is able to access learning. The creation of an education authority, and the phasing out of all middle schools. These are exciting times for our education system as we forge ahead with the plan to provide our children with a system that is created by Bermudians and for Bermudians. A system that is culturally relevant, promotes self-awareness, critical thinking, and prepares our children to lead locally and contribute globally. While it is clear that strides are being made in education reform, I want to highlight some of the other work that has been going on behind the scenes. The PLP believes that anyone who wishes to improve themselves through education should be given the opportunity to do so. Money should not be the major difference between able to gain a certification or degree or not. To this end, there have been several programs put in place since 2017 that have assisted our fellow Bermudians to pursue their educational goals. We have seen the number of Bermudians able to pursue their dreams rise in the last few years, as we provide avenues for them to reach higher heights. Since 2017, the Bermuda College has been given $300,000 per year, specifically for financial aid. This annual grant, now in its 4th year, has seen over 870 students benefit from this grant. In fact, enrollment at the Bermuda College has risen from 926 students in 2016 to over 1,700 students in 2020. A testament to the various programs put in place to ensure our people have access to the services they want and need. Another program I want to highlight is our new College Promise program that started in 2018. Far too often we hear negativity around the students graduating from Cedar Bridge and Berkeley, despite the many good things that happened there. The College Promise program was introduced to reward those students who went to school and did their work. Any public high school student that graduates with a 3.0 GPA or better can attend the Bermuda College tuition-free. Let me repeat that. Any public high school student that graduates with a 3.0 GPA or better can attend the Bermuda College tuition-free. This program presents huge advantages for our students. To break this down, any student graduating from the Bermuda Public School System with the appropriate GPA can now do their first 2 years of college for free and transfer into a third year of a program in hundreds of overseas institutions. Imagine how much money you can save by not having to pay for the first 2 years of university. Now in its second year, there are currently 70 students attending the Bermuda College under this program. The Ministry of Education continues to look at the money it issues out for scholarships and awards and ways to make those dollars stretch even further. The recent creation of smaller awards, such as the Bermuda College Books Award, to help students to buy books, are but one of the ways we are looking to create ways to assist our students. Currently under review is a program designed to help professionals who want to enter the teaching field a means to pay for the required 9-month certification program. Our convention theme, "We're all in this together," is appropriate for these types of programs for what we are doing through today. By being creative and innovative, we have been able to help more people with less, all done without necessarily having to find more funding. Thinking smarter and being more proactive, we have been able to help hundreds of Bermudians in their quest to better themselves. Next, you will hear a testimony from one of Bermuda's shining stars, a star who is a product of public education and has been supported by the Ministry of Education's various scholarships and awards to help achieve her goals. She is an example of how thinking outside the box can help us help each other and truly realize we're all in this together.
Hi, my name is Dejanay Hill Edwards. I am 22 years old and currently I am an underwriting assistant at Arch Re Bermuda. Prior to joining Arch, I graduated from St. John's University and more recently graduated with my master's degree from Cass Business School in London. Like many Bermudian students, I needed scholarship money in order to fund my educational journey, and the PLP government provided me with the necessary funding. I think the PLP is truly invested in promoting Bermuda for Bermudians. Being awarded a scholarship was a relief to me, as my parents didn't have the financial resources to send me to university abroad. And I was excited to be able to have the opportunity to go and pursue my passions and dreams. I'm truly grateful to have been awarded a scholarship and provide the assistance that I have. And from the party, when it comes to, in general, in terms of education, on politics, being accessible for young Bermudians, that's a really big platform that the PLP pushes, and I appreciate that. And I think most young Bermudians appreciate that, because I think sometimes young Bermudians feel, or young people in general, when it comes to politics, feel overlooked and kind of push it as something that's for older people or the older generation. So being more accessible, especially like with the premier on social media and that type of stuff, I think it's put politics and the PLP in a better light.
And welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that and learning about what's happening in education. Now we are in for a treat. I heard a little bit of this gentleman. His name is River, and I bring him to the stage now.
Yes, good evening, Bermuda. How are you feeling? I'm going to sing this song, and it represents freedom of our people. It also represents freedom of our mind. from the bottomless pit, but my head is made strong. Hand of the Almighty, so we forward in this generation, triumphantly. Yeah, won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever have. Redemption song. Redemption song. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop at a time. How long shall they kill our prophets? Oh, while we stand aside and look. Ooh. Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Is all I ever have. Redemption song. Redemption song. Redemption in every way, in every way, in every way, in every way. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop at a time. How long shall they kill our prophets? Oh, while we stand aside and look. Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Come on, won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption song. Redemption song. Redemption song. Redemption song, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Riva. I enjoyed that. I was hoping we would have another one. But nonetheless, thank you for gracing us with your talent. I'd like to just thank once again our title sponsor or lead sponsors, ICS, Vava Entertainment, and Inter-Island Communications. Now, we're going to learn a little bit about history. If you don't already know it, we're going to be reminded as well. We have a great party, and it was formed to make a change for the people of this country. And at this time, we're going to bring up someone who knows a lot about that history. And he's going to give us a little bit more. Maybe we didn't know, but he's here to educate us. And we have the Honorable Walter Robban, JP, MP. Welcome, colleague. Just going to clean this off for you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to have been introduced by one of our newest MPs, Crystal Caesar. Shows that the PLP is alive and kicking and adding youth to its long history of experience as the government and Bermuda's oldest political party. As I stand here tonight, I reminisce just a bit that my first annual delegates conference was in 1990. And so many years have passed since then. But one thing that is for sure, just as I knew then, I know now that the Progressive Labor Party is the country's most prestigious political organization. It is the greatest political party that has ever existed in Bermuda, and it is the only party that has a plan for the future, reinforce the experiences of its past, to chart a road for all of us. As I am here to give you a perspective on history, I am also minded that the theme of this conference is we are all in this together. And for me, that theme rings strong. It rings strong for a number of reasons. That the PLP is an organization that has been almost 60 years old. Started in February of 1963 by a group of Bermudians who wanted change, who wanted a different Bermuda, who wanted a Bermuda that would be of service and would create opportunity, would have a future for all of her people, irrespective of background, irrespective of wealth, irrespective of their place in society. Let us not forget the Bermuda of 1963, a place where segregation was somewhat legally sanctioned. We didn't have equal opportunity in any aspect of society. And those who had achieved with much blood, sweat, and tears. And if you were not white, male, you really had a pretty hard life in Bermuda. And so a group of people, men and women, got together over many, many months, many weeks, and came up with the vision to form a political party, led by a gentleman named Wilfred Mose Allen. This group of people clearly had a vision, a desire to create a different place for everyone to live, for their children to live, for the people, for their families to live, for society. And as I, to this day, look back at the very first platform of that political party, that embryonic, that young organization, I see in many ways the Bermuda that we are still today working to shape and achieve. I see education and the need for education for all and equal opportunity for education. I see labor and the effort to ensure a fair and equitable workplace. I see issues around housing, ensuring affordable housing for all. I see the journey to create affordable health care. I also see the need to create a strong social net that can help those who need help, whether you be disabled, whether you be elderly, whether you be a child, whether you be a family in need. I see talk of industry to create a vibrant tourism industry. I see talk of Bermuda as a financial service center. I see also the issue of immigration and ensuring an immigration policy that puts Bermudians first. I see Constitution and the need for constitutional reform. I see issues in 1963 that still are at the hallmark of what Bermuda needs to address today. So when people out there say the PLP hasn't done anything, well, the PLP still to this day is committed to the same issues that it crafted as its mission in 1963. Because those are still the issues that we as a country grapple with today and are shaping today for the future. And from 1963, I see a party in the midst of a Bermuda that was undemocratic, that was unequal, attempting to put forth a vision for a democratic society, an open society, a free society, and an equitable society. I see a party that from 1963 to 1980 went through a period of development, progressing slowly, and coming to 1980 at the cusp of victory for the first time, with 18 seats, led by then Dame Lois Brown Evans, having been led previously by Arnold Francis and Walter Robinson. At the cusp, from 63 to 80, on a path of being born to being at the edge of victory, having had to still exist in a Bermuda that was gripped with social unrest from the 60s and 70s, but still staying focused, knowing that we were all in this together. I see a party from in the 1980s struggling still from within, having to go down to 7 seats, losing the progress made over the years, but not losing its focus, that they were all in it together, and that with the right steps made, they will come back again. I see a party in 1989 that recovers with 15 seats and gets back on a path to victory under the leadership of L. Frederick Wade. A party that, in some ways, is reborn with a new focus, a new purpose, but not a new identity, but purpose and focus, and building from 1989 to 1998, the first PLP victory under the leadership of Dame Jennifer Smith. A party in government now in a position to fulfill the dreams of the ancestors, a position to fulfill a platform promise for one person, one vote of equal value, to improving education, to improving infrastructure, to improving opportunity for many. I see a party winning a number of elections after that, until after a period finding itself back in the wilderness as opposition, but still not losing the focus, the vision, the mission that was established in 1963. I see a party learning from that defeat and recovering in 2017 under new leadership, under a more youthful leadership, and crafting a new plan for Bermuda and putting Bermudians at heart. But it doesn't stop there, because the history of this party is rich, just like our families. You have ups and downs, ebbs and flows, you have arguments, you have disputes, but you're a family. So you don't forget why you are here. You don't forget what the mission is, and you don't forget what it means to understand that we are all in this together. So in 2020, we did it again, crafting a new vision for Bermuda. And where in 2017 we crafted a fairer and better Bermuda, in 2020 we're working to put Bermudians at heart. In the face of a pandemic, in the face of economic trials, the PLP stays focused, putting Bermudians at heart, knowing that we are all in this together. So I leave you, everyone, with a touch of the history of this party. A party of struggle, a party of a testament to will, to focus, a party with a vision, but a party that has Bermuda's future clearly in its focus. I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and I look forward to enjoying the conference with the rest of the delegates. And I do hope that everyone in Bermuda who is watching tonight is enjoying this program and has learned just a little bit more about who we are as a party, as a family, and as a government. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am back, and we thank the Honorable Walter Roban, JP MP, for reminding us of our humble beginnings, where we've come, what we've done, and indeed, where we still need to go. With that said, you are now going to be treated by a video of the past members, their contributions, and what they have done. We thank them for founding the party, for all that they have done in their service to us, and we bless them on their continued journey watching over us. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we are going to be treated to the sultry sounds of the young Mr. Justin Evan, saxophonist. Wonderful job. Thank you, Justin, for blessing us with that. Very talented. At this time, I'd like to just acknowledge the full list of sponsors that we have, starting with ICS Tires, Soap Suds, Bermuda Entertainers Union, Vava Entertainment Show, GMD, Inter-Island Communications, Hindsight Multimedia Live Productions, and the Burmese Collective, Jardine's Flowers and Things, El Shaddai Florist, Sprint International Express, Jimmy Florist, and the Women's PLP Caucus. Ladies and gentlemen, Bermudians have always been a giving people. We have a giving nature. And that is reflected in the party's outreach, particularly in the last several months over the pandemic. We have seen our members reaching out to the community, ensuring that those that did not have meals were able to be fed. And we are proud to now bring to you a video covering that story.
My name is Tulani Beaufort. I'm the Western organizer for the Progressive Labour Party. I'm also the branch chairman of C35.
My name is Sean Simons. I am the chairman for constituency 29.
As the Western organizer, when COVID-19 first hit Bermuda and the government declared a national lockdown, my responsibility was to liaison with all the branch chairs to ensure that all our constituencies were doing okay, and to also liaison with the third sector to see if there's any support they needed to help the food banks that were being set up in the wake of COVID-19 in Bermuda. I reached out to all the branch chairs in the Western parishes to ask if anyone knew of anyone in the communities that were struggling, that needed help, and to liaison with myself and them to share with them the information from the third sectors where they could get help through the national food banks that were being set up through various charities.
I basically did the same thing. We both got, once I got the call from Talani, I said yes one time. I got together with two of my executives, which was Howard Salters and Selena Fields, to help out. I also opened up to my constituency, my house, to be at the kitchen, which was getting all the food from such as the caterers that will cook the chicken for us. Everybody would get up to my house, put the chicken together, all the plates together, to make, the plate complete. And we will go from my house, distribute all the plates to all the designated areas from Bayless Bay, from constituency 29 and 28. And, we just kept rolling like this every day. Some days it went to Eliza Doolittle Association, and some days it was just regular donation of the food. You know what I mean? The dinners we was putting out. So basically, my kitchen was like the main kitchen, pushing out every day. So everybody was working out of my house.
Sean's house served as our kitchen, and where we packed all the foods together. And his executive, Mr. Howard Salters
and
Selena Fields, they acted as two of our drivers, in addition to Sean and myself. And Malika Watson from C28, she jumped in at that time and started to help us with the organizing of the food. She helped us with how we set up the train to cook the food and to wrap the food up. And she jumped in and started to live with her and her mother as well. So Malika Watson and her mother were instrumental, along with Sean and his executive, in getting this off the ground. After a few weeks, we noted that we couldn't keep up with all the food that we was cooking, but with all the different requests, because more branches outside of the Western parishes started reaching out, asking us for help. So 3 weeks in, Elizabeth Doolittle Society reached back out to me, and the then director told us over the phone that basically they had shut down because all her seniors, the people that was her relief drivers, were all seniors, and because of COVID-19, she couldn't send them up to drive because they're in that high risk category. And so she shared with us, she said, well, look, if you help us, I'll help you. And so we struck a deal with her. We took 50 bags of groceries from her every day and deliver to the people that she had on her list. And that means people throughout the island. So we start delivering to people in St. David's, people in Devonshire, people in Crowell that get stuff from her on a regular. And additionally, she started giving us grocery bags to help with the people that were serving. And so we started getting almost like 250 bags a day that we was getting from Elizabeth Doolittle Society. And Malika Watson and her team at her branch, and Sean and his team, they was going there every day, as well as myself, getting these grocery bags, delivering it to the people we were serving, inclusive of cooked food and inclusive of helping the people that she normally serves. And so that took us through the whole island.
It did expand because at some point some days I even had to go out of my constituency as far as Granaway Heights. I'm down in Southampton, the Campbell area. I was getting calls up to Granaway Heights, and actually everybody was seniors, you know what I mean? So it's not like I could say no, I can't get out there to you. Like, people starving. We had the permission to be on the red. So we got out there, we reached to people that reached out, we reached out to them, we answered the people. So, you know, it wasn't no funds involved. We even had to go to BJ to buy cases of plates to get that there sorted all out. So it was like, it was a big rush. The team was good. Nobody argued, nobody complained. Everybody had a job to do. Everybody did the rule. And by time, 7 o'clock, you had to be in by 7. Sometimes it'd be 2 minutes to 7. We'd be finished. You know what I mean? We cut it tight. But the squad that we had, I could work with them any day because we just did it for the love. You know what I mean? We did it for the people that was out there in need. You know what I mean? Friends, family, people that we wouldn't even expect that they needed the help. I can't quote their names, but it was stunning to see who really needed these handouts, like, you know what I mean? Because how the curve they locked on that quorum, some people couldn't even get to the bank to get their money. So it was a seesaw effect, you know what I mean? So we put a lot of smiles on people's faces at that time.
So as we started to expand down the rest of the island, the community started coming together. I had a friend of mine, his mom had found out what we guys were doing, and she had reached out to her son to see how she could help.
My name is Darnell Hollis. My son came home one evening and he mentioned that Talani was looking for someone to help in cooking and delivering food to those people that had been left without a job during the COVID. And because my desire is always to help, I jumped right to it. I said, okay, just let me know what I have to do. And Talani said, well, you know, this is my menu. He had different menus. And I said, well, I can start with making macaroni and cheese. And he's like, look, moms, whatever. He says, you can go buy it and I'll reimburse you. I said, let's not worry about the reimbursement. My heart is to help people. And so I thought that this was a very good idea, and it's me to help. And then when he began to tell me of, you know, children who were left with little to eat, my heart is to help. And I have this thing that the Bible says that if you do to the least of these, you do it unto me. And so for me, it was getting in there and helping whomever I can. And so I enjoyed it. I was excited about the cooking. And then he would bring food down and I had to package it, help to deliver it. And I was like, this is just a wonderful idea. And I thought the whole thing of Bermudians coming together, regardless of what you have, what you don't have, because if we have a little and we share it, God will make sure that we get the increase.
Ladies and gentlemen, testing. Okay, sorry about that. As I said, technical difficulties nonetheless. We are back. Hope you enjoyed that, learning about our food programs. Ladies and gentlemen, members work hard and are dedicated to ensuring that our party does great things. And as someone once told me, we need to give people their flowers while they can enjoy them and recognize their efforts. So with that said, I'd like to bring our General Secretary to the stage to give a tribute to one of our members and thank them for their efforts for our party.
Good evening. Mr. Roderick Roddy Burchell, the fourth son of Lawrence and Helen Burchell, grew up in North Shore and was educated at the West Pembroke School and the Barclay Institute. Mr. Burchell is married to Miss Marquita Burchell. He is the proud father of sons Leon, Delton, Derek, and daughter Zulima, who, like their parents, are patron lifetime members of the Progressive Labor Party. He is also proud of his 13-month-old grandson Enzo, who is also a lifetime member. Mr. Burchell was always active in the sports world. He played football for his school teams and the Dock Hill Rangers. And when Dock Hill disbanded, Mr. Burchell became player coach for Centaurs United FC. He then moved on to coach St. George's Cricket Club football team. He later became the coach of Bermuda's under-23 national team. Mr. Burchell was later named as coach for the senior national team, succeeding his very good friend, Mr. Carlton Pepe Dill. They were the first Bermudians to become head coaches of the national team. Mr. Burchell moved from coaching to become a Grade 1 assistant referee for international matches. And believe it or not, Mr. Burchell was also a great netball coach for Centaurs United netball team, and became the first coach of the Bermuda national netball team. Mr. Burchell quit all sports in 1996 due to illness, but upon his recovery, he got involved with the party, and we are grateful. And he has been active ever since. In fact, he is still going, as if there is no end. He joined the Smiths branch before the single seat. Without being approached or notified, he had been appointed as the CC rep, a position that he has returned to and still holds. Within the party, his movement was more or less like taking the elevator from the bottom to the top. He has been Assistant Secretary General, Deputy Chairman, and then became Chairman of the party after the then Chairman, Mr. Neville Tyrrell, was appointed to the Senate. In the community, Mr. Burchell has served as Chairman of the Treatment Offenders Board, Deputy Chair of the Human Rights Commission, and is in his 43rd year on the Special Panel Family Court. He is the longest-serving member of this board, and when asked what was his most memorable moments during his very busy life, he smilingly said, "My job often got in the way of my service to my boards and community." Mr. Burchell has been rightfully recognized within the community for his unselfish contribution and commitment throughout Bermuda. In 1998, he received a sports citation for football. His most memorable appointment came in 2000 under Premier Dame Jennifer Smith when he was given the title of JP. In 2013, at the 50th anniversary of the Progressive Labor Party, he received a certificate for his continuous contribution to the party. And in 2019, he was presented with the Drum Major Award from the party. There is this old quote that states, "Behind every good man, there's a good woman." And this can truly be said of Mrs. Marquita Burchell, his wife for almost 35 years. We say thank you to Mrs. Burchell for supporting her husband and sharing him with us. May God bless you and your family, and for your long service, for your contributions and dedication. Mr. Burchell, this is for you. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to reiterate, thank you, Mr. Roddy Burchell, for your service to our community and to our party. I'd like to now tell you that you're in for a treat. I'd like to bring someone to the stage who's a premier singer and entertainer. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jesse Seymour.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jesse Seymour. I first off like to thank the PLP for having me. We're all in this together, you know, and I believe that this year has kind of taught us all a lesson on how to be more together, you know. And as a people, I think we've been amazing getting through this year, dealing with what we've been dealing with as far as COVID and whatnot. So this song that I'm about to do for you is simply called So Amazing. It's off my album, and because you, the people of Bermuda, are just so amazing. Thank you.
Mama told me never give up. Life's a long, long road, so I'ma run this relay for you and carry your torch. Friends and family are all here, yeah, to celebrate with you. Hoping this song eases the pain that you've been going through, yeah. 'Cause you're so amazing and your love's contagious. And every time I look into your eyes, like the stars are gazing. And I just want you to know that I'm proud of you every day and every way. 'Cause you're so amazing to me, and your love shining right through me, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Life's trials and tribulations can get the best of us sometimes, but I'll take the load off you now, carry yours and mine. I look up to the Father and I beg him time after time, just hoping he hears my voice and he gets you to the finish line. 'Cause you're so amazing and your love's contagious. And every time I look into your eyes, like the stars are gazing. And I just want you to know that I'm proud of you every day and every way. 'Cause you're so amazing to me, and your love shining right through me, yeah, yeah. Oh no, the world knows you now, so go on and take a bow. And I know you don't like crowds, so I thought I'd sing this one out loud. The world knows you now, so gonna take a bow right now, right now. So amazing, so contagious. Time I look into your eyes, like the stars are gazing. And I just want you to know that I'm proud of you every day and every way. 'Cause you're so amazing to me, and your love shining right through me, yeah. So amazing, love's contagious. And every time I look into your eyes, like the stars are gazing. And I just want you to know that I'm proud of you every day and every way. Cause you're so amazing to me. And your love shining right through me, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse, and blessings to you and your family. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now bring up the Honorable David Burt, JP MP. Birch, sorry, not Burt. Too many Davids. You know he's being naughty. But anyway, the Honorable David Birch, JP MP, and he's going to talk to us about what he's doing for young entrepreneurs.
Good evening. She should know better than that. I get in enough trouble all by myself. I don't need to be taking on his responsibilities. This evening, I'm going to talk a little bit about the short-term stimulus program that we're running in this COVID period to provide opportunities and employment for Bermudians. I'm going to give you a little bit of background first, though, so that you get an idea of the magnitude of the responsibilities that Public Works has. The ministry is responsible for maintaining Bermuda's critical assets and infrastructure. In fact, Public Works is the lead agent in delivering the infrastructure requirements upon which so many of the services provided to this island depend on. Some of the assets and infrastructure that the ministry is responsible for building and maintaining include 617 roads, amounting to 225 kilometers of road surface, 751 buildings maintained by Public Lands and Buildings with an insured value of over $1.5 billion, 85 public docks and purpose-built berths servicing cruise ships, cargo ships, and hundreds of private vessels and yachts each year, 5 reservoirs with a capacity of 2.5 million gallons of Bermuda's precious and very limited water resource, 75 amenity parks, beaches, and school grounds protected under the Bermuda National Parks Act, 1986, an infrastructure that falls under the Bermuda Land Development Company, the West End Development Corporation, the Bermuda Housing Corporation, and the Ocean View and Port Royal golf courses. The maintenance and enhancement of our infrastructure and facilities must remain a priority, because infrastructure development is a vital component in encouraging a country's economic growth. For example, infrastructure development will provide the adequate capacity for future growth Bermuda so desperately needs. It will enhance visitor experience when they come to Bermuda, and more importantly, it will provide a key source of job creation and economic empowerment going forward. There is an urgent need to provide stimulus to the local economy in order to retain and boost employment numbers in the wake of the economic downturn sparked by the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. We have a list of shovel-ready projects that are potentially executable within a few months. These projects are mostly infrastructure improvements and will not add further burden to government operational expenses. The project selection principles are to maximize the employment of the private sector while providing much-needed refreshing of chronically neglected infrastructure. This project is directed particularly at the small to medium-sized contractor. A request for suppliers' qualifications across multiple disciplines was issued to generate a pre-qualification list of approved contractors and companies that can participate in the program. This approach will be in line with sections of the pre-qualification procedure and approved contractor lists of the Code of Practice for Project Management and Procurement. The pre-qualification criteria will include a scoring of technical competence, local employment benefit, and a schedule of unit rates. Suitable companies will then be added to an approved contractor list. With the development of the list, the ministry would then use the restricted procedure to quickly obtain 3 or more quotations from various suppliers, grouped by suitability and vocation, to select a contractor for each project, where works are specialized or contractors' availability is limited either through companies already obtaining a project from the program or natural scarcity. A single source contract will be negotiated based upon the unit rates. The work to be done under this contract and in accordance with these specifications consists of furnishing of equipment, material, supervision, labor, technical knowledge, and skills necessary to satisfactorily and safely complete the job as outlined in this agreement. The primary responsibility for such services shall be that the contractor under the general direction of the ministry staff. To ensure apportionment of the stimulus funding across all the participating businesses, the ministry will maintain a register of approved contractors list and awarded contracts to ensure that no one company monopolizes the project list. Once a company obtains a project, they will be rotated to the bottom of the list for consideration to allow other companies an opportunity for work. The guiding principle would be to prioritize all companies that provide the most employment benefit per dollar spent and spread the work among Bermudian-owned and operated companies. As a number of the projects listed are estimated to fall above $250,000 in value, multiple cabinet approvals would be required for contract awards to comply with the existing code. In this case, a blanket cabinet approval was secured for all the contracts within this program list that exceed $100,000 single source or $250,000 in value. This dramatically reduces the amount of time for approval. To streamline the internal process, the Ministry Accounting Officer will oversee all contract approvals in this program, report to Cabinet on the program progress, and meet the economic objectives in an information memo at the end of the program period. This approach will stop a host of unnecessary Cabinet memorandums related to each contract award, accessing $100,000 for single source or contracts exceeding $250,000. The request for supply process started on December 7th, 2020, and closes on February 15th, following approval of the program by Cabinet. Thereafter, it is envisioned that the award of contracts can begin almost immediately following the population of the approved contractor list. The Ministry will work concurrently with the approval process to advance timelines as quickly as possible. The Bermuda Economic Development Corporation have partnered with the Ministry to coordinate, conduct sessions on the application process, and assist those small contractors in completing the application. The plan is to utilize medium to small contractors for the work that will be done at dock and building refurbishments, new construction, canal clearance, roadside fencing, and health and safety improvements. Consultant project manager, Mr. Robert Richardson, has been assigned by the ministry to this project to coordinate the efforts of all those involved, as well as liaise with the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation. The ministry is working in consultation with the Office of Project Management and Procurement, as well as the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation. The intention is for BEDC to provide assistance to small and medium-sized contractors to complete the required submission documents for the RFSQ. We recognize that some small to medium-sized companies may not have the administrative support to respond to government solicitations and the associated procurement requirements, and so assistance is being provided by the BEDC. As of today, 175 companies have been emailed to raise awareness about the program, and emails to the professional organizations. The BEDC have conducted 81 virtual session registrations, 35 virtual sessions actual attendance. The BEDC have advertised via numerous platforms on social media, radio interviews, Facebook, website, and email blasts. Planned sessions total 20, but have been reduced to 13 as no one registered for 7 of those slots. One more virtual session is planned for February the 2nd. Up to today, we have received 44 official individual submissions, with 11 being fully completed. During early discussions, some small contractors have highlighted impediments to participating, such as mobilization costs and the delayed payment schedule. As this program is operating under specific financial instructions that allow for flexibility, I've asked the team to explore ways that we can address both of these impediments. We are determined to involve as many small and medium-sized contractors as possible and are providing every opportunity for them to become involved. I invite all those who view this announcement and know a small or medium-sized contractor to inform them of this initiative. They can gain more information by signing onto the government website or sending an email to stimulus@gov.bm or admin1@bedc.bm. In 10 words, what I just said is that we are implementing a stimulus program to encourage small and medium-sized contractors to get work and to hire more people. That's the bottom line. And we are focusing on small and medium-sized contractors so that we can spread the wealth. We can pay people to sit at home, or we can pay them to repair our infrastructure. We choose the latter. Thank you.
Let's
Ladies and gentlemen, you were just listening to the Freedom Singers, Lift Every Voice and Sing. I hope you enjoyed that. None of this would be available if we did not have sponsors, and I'd like to again thank our title sponsors, and that would be ICS Tires, Vava Entertainment Show, and Inter-Island Communications. You heard earlier about a dynamic young man, Mr. Dejai Grimes, who I'm now going to bring to the stage, and he's going to introduce our premier. Dejai?
Thank you, Crystal. Premier David Burt is an upstanding leader of our country. As a young man in his constituency, I can honestly say that he has a way with people. Watching him canvass over the past few years throughout my neighborhood, I've seen him help countless individuals, including seniors, young people in the community, and those who need assistance getting by. Premier Burt has a long-lasting, positive effect on constituency 18 and Bermuda as a whole. I feel he has promoted change for the safety of children in the community. He has made seniors happy by aiding their request of streetlights in certain areas. He has given the community multiple opportunities through clinics for anyone. Sorry about this, I'm a little nervous. Clinics for anyone to come and have their voice heard. Premier Burt will always be willing to go the extra mile to help people Premier Burt is always willing to go the extra mile to help people who need to be helped. He is willing to provide guidance to the young people so that they can be given the opportunity to be successful and productive members of this community. As a young entrepreneur, I have had many people I've looked up to who have helped me in the past. Premier Burt is one of the people who have helped me discover my passion for business management, and cybersecurity, which has set me on my path that I am currently on today. One thing I admire about Premier Burt is seeing that despite his position as leader of this great country, he remains completely true to himself and his family. The Premier and his family have made their way into the hearts and homes of many, including my own, over the years. Our families have essentially become one. We share recipes, help one another, and my grandmother even babysits his children. And I know that if I ever need advice on anything professional, I can always reach out to David Burt. Seeing him grow from his first year in politics to the leader of the party to eventually the leader of the country has been nothing short of amazing. And being able to do it all while building a family truly speaks to his dedication to this country. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the leader of this great island, the Honorable Premier David Burt.
Well, Dejai said he was nervous. He almost brought a tear to my eye. Thank you very much, Dejai, for that wonderful introduction. To the delegates, party executive, parliamentarians, members, supporters of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party, to my wife, Kristen, who's here with me this evening, to my daughter, Nia, and to my son, Ed, who I know are at home watching, and to the people of Bermuda. Good evening. I hope that you have enjoyed the opening night of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party's annual conference. I thank the Secretary General, Ms. Davida Morris, JP, for her work in organizing tonight's event and the conference. I'd like to thank all performers, all persons who participated, including the Deputy Premier and Colonel Birch, in addition to our host for the evening, MP Crystal Caesar. I start this speech mindful that the last time I spoke at an annual conference for our beloved Progressive Labor Party was in October 2019 to a large crowd in a church hall with not a mask in sight. Tonight, I address you and the country virtually as our reality has changed. Before I begin my formal remarks, I wish to make short mention of our fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Although lately the focus has been on the economic consequences of COVID-19, there has been a masterful performance by public officers, and that requires special attention. It is one of those facts that everybody saw, but nobody looked at. And as leader of the governing party, it is my proud duty to ensure that proper recognition is given. They have been at this for a year, and our health officers have never wavered. They never failed us and must be some of the most dedicated public officers in the world. They did what was needed, and with the discipline and cooperation of Bermudians, our health officers were able to get a handle on the outbreaks, and our healthcare system never got overwhelmed. And to those health officers, under the able leadership of our Minister of Health, the Honorable Kim Wilson, on behalf of the members of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party, I humbly offer my deepest appreciation and gratitude for your selfish, selfless commitment to our people throughout 2020, but especially in December. Our nurses, lab technicians, contact tracers, doctors, paramedics, first responders, and those on the front line. There is only pride in the Bermudians who stepped up and ensured that Bermuda's COVID response was noticed around the world. Last year, at this time, it felt like a completely different world. We were living our lives as normal. No masks, no social distancing. Our schools were open without restriction. We were praying in our churches. We were eating at restaurants, socializing at bars, and attending concerts. We were enjoying time with our families and friends without restriction. On the government side, we were nearing a balanced budget. And while there were continued struggles related to the cost of living, education reform, and health reform, a fundamentally unequal society, we were making progress towards our election pledge of building a fairer Bermuda for all. Then, the virus changed everything. Our children have adapted to remote learning and periodic shuttering of in-person learning with little warning. Our tourism industry was effectively shut down for long periods, and the country learned just how bad that airport deal was because of the minimum revenue guarantees that we inherited. Lots of jobs were lost, hours were cut, and everyone had to take an economic hit, from the private sector to the public sector to our quangos to MPs and ministers. In our individual households, just as with the government, belt tightening was a means of survival. And yes, the country had to take on additional debt to provide benefits to our residents to ensure that Bermudians were able to survive during these unprecedented times. Despite these challenges, I'm incredibly proud to say that on October 1st, the people looked at the options and decided to give our party an overwhelming mandate to see Bermuda through the coming economic recovery. To our activists, volunteers, candidates, and to everyone who supported us, thank you for giving us the biggest electoral mandate in Bermuda's history. As you have seen since the election, and you've heard tonight, we have not stopped working for Bermuda. The members of the Progressive Labor Party have joined many community organizations in answering the call of service during this pandemic. Many of our branches up and down this island have delivered thousands of meals to persons in need. We have checked in on seniors who may not be connected to the internet to ensure that they were getting the support needed, and we have continued this service after the election. That is the true essence of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party. We have always been more than just a political party, but an organization deeply rooted in the community, with members committed to being servant leaders. That same servant leadership is what you can expect from this party in government as we engage in the task of executing our mission to rebuild Bermuda with Bermudians at heart. And though there is still much more work to do as a party, our members should be proud of the progress that we have made on a number of fronts. In our first 3 years, the Progressive Labor Party government invested a cumulative $22 million more in public education than the previous government. And you heard some of the results of that this evening. We have invested in scholarships, apprenticeships, training, and the Bermuda College, with hundreds of Bermudians upgrading their skills, earning degrees and certifications, being prepared for the jobs of the future. No Bermudian in this country is denied further education and training due to a lack of funds. Workers making $48,000 have seen their payroll tax bill slashed by 58% since we took office. Yes, you heard me correctly, 58%. And we kept our promise to start making our tax system fairer by ensuring that dividend payments are taxed for the first time ever. We have strengthened the Employment Act, enshrined protections against workplace harassment, including sexual harassment, and true to our labor roots, we modernize Bermuda's labor laws. We have started the progress of healthcare reform by ensuring that money paid for health insurance to support our hospital, it goes to support our hospital and cannot be diverted to private company profits. We have tackled the diversification of our economy, and we seal real progress with the creation of jobs in fintech and the continued diversification of our insurance sector. We have tackled international challenges to our financial services sector, and we have seen international business not only remain on our shores, but we have seen new companies coming to provide more jobs and economic activity in Bermuda. We have put Bermudians first by introducing work permit moratoriums on 40 additional job categories, in addition to the 12 in place previously, to ensure that Bermudians affected by the pandemic can find work in their own country. And we have begun to tackle the painful cost of living by strictly regulating energy, which has seen the first reduction in core energy prices in memory. Yes, that is right. Energy prices went down, and the government is committed to continuing its work to further drive down the cost of living in Bermuda. And this is why our promise to rebuild Bermuda with Bermudians at heart touched so many people. The people saw the work that we had accomplished, and the people trusted the PLP to rebuild our economy in a fair and balanced way. Make no mistake, however, the challenge is enormous. But we can harness the collective talent and energy of our people and our country to transform Bermuda. The pandemic has changed all of us, and the change that it has instilled within me is that I am more determined than ever to press ahead with our agenda. I will ensure that this party delivers on our mandate of transformation, which is necessary for my children, necessary for your children, and necessary for all of our children to have a future in Bermuda. Why must we be transformational? Because we cannot continue to ignore the demographic challenges facing Bermuda and pretend that they will somehow disappear. Because we cannot continue to hold on to an old and outdated school buildings as an excuse to delay much-needed public education reform following consultation. Because we cannot continue to defend a healthcare system that doesn't work for our country and leaves thousands unable to access healthcare. And because we cannot pretend that we will fix our country without fixing the primary driver of economic inequality, which is at the root of most of our problems, our unfair system of taxation. This party will lead from the front to reform our system of taxation to one that is fairer and, yes, one that may contain taxes on incomes. In a globalized society where the world is changing, for our economy to be sustainable, we must have those conversations that we may not have been comfortable having before. When the leader of the One Bermuda Alliance joins the leader of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party in supporting the Fiscal Responsibility Panel's recommendation for a tax on incomes, then clearly we are past talking about whether or not it is time. It is now time to work together to implement overdue changes in a fair and balanced fashion. We must also acknowledge that an essential benefit of changing our system of taxation is to deal with the most pressing issue in Bermuda, the cost of living and the cost of doing business. The main taxes that Bermuda uses to collect revenue, customs duties, payroll taxes, and taxes on fuel, increase the cost of living and increase the cost of doing business. A fairer tax system can help us reduce our costs of living, which in turn will boost economic growth, and that is why it is essential that it be advanced. As we move forward with tax reform, expect fear-mongering and alarmism from the entrenched wealthy in this country who benefit most from the existing system. We saw it recently when I made a comment about tax reform and simply pointed out that those who own dozens of rental properties pay no tax on any income from those properties. This was spun by the Royal Gazette the next day to say that I want to tax all rentals, including those small renters who may own 1 or 2 apartments. This is not the case, and a correction was made after the paper was printed. But the damage was done, and they successfully sowed seeds of doubt about our intentions. At the same time in Bermuda, the enemies of change strangely manifest themselves in those who are most likely to benefit from the change that they oppose. Bermudians with little or no access to intergenerational wealth are often the loudest opponents to reforms that are meant to provide relief to the oppressive inequality that is the biggest challenge to our collective progress. Strangely, the most ardent public defenders of the current system of taxation are those who are worse off under it. Our current system sees those with lower incomes paying a higher percentage of their income in taxes than those who may own multiple businesses and properties with sources of unearned wealth. This imbalance exacerbates intergenerational inequality and hinders our economic progress. This does not mean that we should punish success, but it does mean that just like every other country in the world who has established a system of fair taxation, we must recognize that the impact of income inequality which is at the core of Bermuda's problems, will not be solved if the very structures that exacerbate that inequality are left in place. I look forward to the work of the new Tax Reform Commission, and I welcome the opposition leader's endorsement of the need to have a fundamental change to our system of taxation. I know the changes that our Minister of Finance, the Honorable Curtis Dickinson, will implement will be fair, they will balance the needs of international business and local business, and will ensure sustainability of Bermuda. Moving to healthcare, we can recall our work in 2019 towards healthcare reform. Although it did not tackle the complete healthcare system, it only dealt with the financing of healthcare. What was interesting to watch was those persons whose families would benefit most from lower healthcare costs were the ones on the front line defending those who benefit most from the existing system. Those persons whose profits are driven by unequal access to healthcare that exists in Bermuda. This time around, our change will not be piecemeal. We will tackle both the financing and delivery of healthcare, as we are determined as a party that what we have now is not sustainable, and we have the courage to fix it. We are committed to reforming healthcare to establish a unified system to ensure that all persons have access to quality care. Public education reform is also vital to ensure that our country is sustainable. I applaud the work of the Minister of Education, his team, and the countless volunteers who join in the call of this transformative effort, including one of our MPs who spoke earlier, MP Jason Wade. Our reforms will ensure that we prepare leaders for the future, recognizing that many different types of students learn differently. And for our future success, we must be able to harness the collective talent of all of our individual citizens. Earlier, I said that demographic changes will not magically heal themselves. Immigration policy is controversial. But economic reality should not be controversial. In Bermuda, a modern and globalized economy, where people do not need to live in Bermuda to work for Bermuda companies, and with an aging populace, we cannot fix the burning issues of higher taxes and a high cost of living without increasing the number of people that live and work in Bermuda. This does not mean that all persons need to be imported. If we do our job to make Bermuda more fair, there are Bermudians that will return. However, it is vital that we shift from the false choice of is population growth good or bad to a mindset of economic growth is essential. And if we are going to have economic growth, how do we ensure that growth benefits Bermudians who have been left behind? The other side to the economic argument of immigration policy is the desperate need for small business to survive and to thrive. Every small business owner wants more customers to whom they can sell their goods and services. Every entrepreneur wants a better opportunity to grow sales. If the pie isn't getting bigger and entrepreneurs are fighting over the same 60,000 customers, then there will be little collective growth. And there will be constant competition with each other for a piece of the same size pie. But what if there were 70 or 80,000 customers to battle for? That leads to more opportunity for entrepreneurship, more opportunity for growth, and more opportunity for wealth creation as the pie is bigger and everyone can earn more. Immigration policy reform does not have to be couched in yesterday's terms. In 2019, when I addressed the opening of this conference, I spoke on this matter extensively. In 2021, post-pandemic, it is up to us to redefine the debate. It is not a question of good or bad, but a question on how do we ensure that our policies benefit Bermudians who have been left behind and ensure that Bermudians are in a position to benefit from economic growth. For example, economic investment certificates, which were in our 2020 throne speech, takes an existing policy of residential certificates and marries it with the Progressive Labor Party's socio-economic ethos. Simply put, it says that persons who wish to reside in Bermuda must make investments that benefit Bermudians either through support for education, sporting clubs, the Bermuda Trust Fund, real estate, or other vital investments that the country needs. Residential certificates exist now, and they are only available to the wealthy. But there is currently no need for those persons who get a residential certificate for them to invest in Bermuda. They just need to have money somewhere, not here. This is what I mean when I say that we need to stop having yesterday's debates and start collectively designing the future that benefits Bermudians. I am proud of the Minister of Labor, the Honorable Jason Hayward, who has taken to revising old policies to put Bermudians first to ensure that Bermudians benefit. Bermuda, we need a change of mindset as we approach the next 5 years. The inequality that has been exposed by the pandemic has created uncomfortable ground for persons whose mantra has never been to put people first. The demands of economic recovery are an affront to guardians of the status quo, because change is no longer a campaign slogan, but it is the key to survival. The Progressive Labor Party is an institution born out of struggle and a thirst for justice and equality. Our history and our core values mean that we are ideally suited to meet the challenges of this current time. We are a people-first party, and so a platform of throne speech and a budget that puts people first comes to us naturally. But here is a question for us. Are we truly committed to change? The business of government is what every set of leaders inherits in this system. We meet rules, regulations, processes, and red tape at the front door. And before we know it, an agenda for change has its wings clipped by a system designed to make haste slowly. But the question remains, are we committed to change? Do we believe that things should change, or are we content in fighting the battles of 30, 40, and 50 years ago? Some of us seem to believe that unless we're at war with someone, there is no reason to live. So rather than help, we tear down. Rather than refine, we kill something before it has the chance to breathe. Rather than join the push for change, we flex and try to block something just to prove a point. For those who profess to be friends and claim to be partners in our cause, let me say this. I am crystal clear what you are against. But does your opposition extend to outlining what you can support? That is what governing is about. We do more than oppose. We have a duty and responsibility to be constructive, to help advance the agenda that we all agree to, and to make each other better. Being a member of the Committee Against Everything is easy. Try getting something affirmative done as an alternative, and you will see just how difficult that is. Let me be clear. Criticism is good. It is healthy, and it is necessary. Well-founded criticism keeps us on course, refreshes our moral compass, and provides a guide for the work that we are charged with doing. In leadership, listening and being reminded of the mission is a sure way to keep focused on all that must be done. I welcome it, and I encourage our members of caucus to welcome and learn from it too. The interesting thing about change, however, is that it is seldomly achieved by one individual. Change requires leaders to commit and execute, but it also requires others to change too. So I am prepared to accept that the pace of change is too slow, and that much of that is down to our lack of success in tackling the systems that were never designed for us or our ideas to succeed. However, our mindset cannot solely be tied to a time that no longer exists. We have laws in this country that predate our political party, and we have policies in Bermuda that predate the construction of the building from where I speak to you tonight. Yet the mere talk of change to any edict from a bygone era often elicits a reflective response of no, 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 sometimes before the question is even finished. We must learn to adapt to change. We must, Bermuda, change in order to survive. And if we do not change and adapt to the new world that is emerging after this pandemic in which we now exist, then we will not live up to our promise as a country. This is what I'm committed to as leader of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party. This is our members' job and mission. It is the core of our election slogan, rebuilding Bermuda with Bermudians at heart. Yes, the cause is ambitious, but I believe that we are called for such a time as this. Let us look at how this country has managed through our own ingenuity to work together as a community. We have been able to succeed in this pandemic in ways that so many other countries, larger than us, richer than us, with more resources than us, have failed. If there is anything that this pandemic has taught us, it should give us confidence in ourselves to be the masters of our own destiny. It should show and demonstrate to us how powerful of a country we can be when we are fully committed to working together to advance our mutual interests. Whether international business or local business, trade union or chamber of commerce, PLP or OBA, black or white, we were able to work together for the common good. Right now, with the difficult road ahead that this country is facing, nothing can be more important than a collective embodiment of unity and the will for us all to persevere. The challenges are steep, but as the last year has proved, if we work together as a nation, we can overcome. But family, we will not overcome by clinging to the past. We will not overcome by talking about the good old days. We will not overcome by looking backwards and say why we cannot change the way that we've always been doing things. In many ways, I hear so many young people in this country say that the world has passed Bermuda by. And this party, under my leadership, with the new mandate that the voters have given us, will drive Bermuda to not only catch up, but to excel. We will use this parliamentary majority to execute on the plans and visions that we laid out in our platform, supported by the vast majority of voters who endorse our plan as it was laid out. But this government will not just be a government for the supporters of the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party. Because to move toward nationhood, we must have a sense of unity and a sense of purpose that transcends divides. That does not mean that we will compromise our ideals. And that does not mean that we will abandon our central tenets of social and economic justice. Because for our country to progress as a nation, we must have unity. But that unity will not come from pretending that there are not divisions that exist in our society. That unity will not come from brushing under the carpet the painful scars of racism and discrimination that still exists in Bermuda today. That unity will only come from the collective work of all segments of Bermuda to dismantle that painful history and to finally tackle entrenched economic inequality in Bermuda. We are committed to that change, and I am committed to putting every ounce of effort into the work of driving that change. I promise you that it will not be easy. And I promise you, at some point over the next few years, you will push back against us and say, no, this is too much change. But Bermuda, transformation is necessary. And I could not be more clear. It must happen to ensure that we survive as a country. I stand before you today as the leader of this party and also the leader of this country, which has not yet written its next chapter. I pledge to you today that we will be committed to ensuring that we focus relentlessly on execution. Our Progressive Labor Party caucus held a retreat this past weekend, and that was our focus, strategizing how we can work together, all of us playing our part, all of us using our collective talents to ensure faster and better execution of our elected platform. Bermuda, if you want to be a part of this journey of transformation, then I urge you to get involved. Join the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party at plp.bm. Apply to join a government board at gov.bm. Or make your voice heard by participating in consultation exercises as we progress the transformation of this country. If you feel in your heart that we need to step it up in Bermuda, I need you to take it to heart and be a part of that citizen army that will build the future. Yes, I know that it is easy to argue. And yes, I know that it is easy to criticize. And the hyper-connected nature of social media makes it seem as though if we are more divided than we really are. But at the end of the day, the only people that are looking out for Bermuda are us, Bermudians. We are the ones that are here, and we are the only ones that can work together to change our collective future. For those who supported us at the polls, and to those who still vehemently oppose us on the blogs, the Progressive Labor Party has formed the government of Bermuda due to the result of a fair and democratic election. And our success in office will be Bermuda's collective success. As Barack Obama once said, the future rewards those who press on. That, Bermuda, is what we must do right now. Press on, persevere, take care of each other, and let's strive towards that future, working together. We will succeed in rebuilding Bermuda with Bermudians at heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you were inspired by the Premier's words. If you are not a member, please go to plp.bm to become a member and join forces with us. I'd like to, in closing, thank once again the sponsors without whom this would not be possible. ICS Tires, Vava Entertainment Show, and Inter-Island Communications. As we close out, I want to say thank you for joining us. I hope that you have enjoyed this evening. I hope that you will enjoy the rest of the conference. To the delegates, please be blessed and have a good evening.
The PLP to me is family.
The PLP to me is people focus.
The PLP to me is sustainability.
The PLP is about the people.
The PLP to me is a legacy of Bermudian excellence.
The PLP is tradition.
The PLP to me is Bermuda's future.
The PLP to me is the road to freedom.
The PLP is legacy.
The PLP to me is compassion.
The PLP means community.
The PLP to me is history.
The PLP to me is about the future.
The PLP to me is grassroots organization.
The PLP to me is progress.
The PLP is the people's government. The PLP is me.
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 The PLP is all of us. We are all in this together.